Hello, and welcome to part 2 of How to Act Like a Human as a Vulcan in the 21st Century. Today, we will be discussing human speech and its oddities. Beginning with English. As you are currently watching this video in English with no language support, it is assumed that you're already comfortable with the faculties of the human language English. I will not be covering any other language in this web series at the moment. However, this may change in time. Transcripts will be updated in the description below, or whatever that box below is called. Now, the human speech is very interesting because it decides that while all of its words are generally somewhat contradictory and confusing, and generally not logical in their conjugation or creation in any way, shape, or form, that it has to be shortened and made even more confusing. These shortenings of language are known as contractions. This is when, instead of saying cannot, a human will say can't. The reason for these contractions is entirely unknown, other than to unnecessarily speed up the human language. Contractions can be very hard for the average Vulcan to grasp or even decide to use. However, it is critical to use at least one contraction in every conversation you have with a human. Some of the most common contractions are I am, which is I'm, or the contraction do not, which is don't. As I mentioned before, cannot, which is can't, and there are many other confusing contractions. They are is there. It is also a contraction for several other words, which will be listed right here. Now, while these contractions are annoying, they are nowhere near as illogical as the expression of emotion and hyperbole in the human speech. Now, you may have covered these in your advanced English language training, but I'm just going to reiterate them, having lived in the human world so far. Now, the use of emotions in human language is almost constant. One says, I am hungry, or I am tired, or I am sad. These are confusing. I am hungry and I am tired have an obvious connotation. Either I need to eat or I need to go to sleep. However, I am sad is confusing. What should one do in that purpose? Now, we will be talking about human physical contact in the next seminar. However, in order to respond to I am sad, generally one should say I'm sorry or some other form of empathy. Empathizing with the human is a surefire way to guarantee that the human believes you understand what they are going through, because most humans seem to have a similar emotional experience, and even if they are different, the humans will never be the wiser. However, it is critical to respond to these emotional connections because the humans expect it and it is regular in the society. Now, on the topic of hyperbole, this is one that can be very difficult to detect, as well as sarcasm. Again, you may have covered these in your advanced language course, but as time goes on, sarcasm and hyperbole are harder to differentiate between that of literal speech. In general, it is safe to assume that a human is being either sarcastic or hyperbolic about their actions or feelings, because generally a human does not feel such a huge range of emotion. For example, having to clean their room or having to do some other typical normal experience. However, if a human does have a broken bone or other severe bodily or material injury, then they will likely not be hyperbolizing or being sarcastic. Also, saying that they either want to die or commit suicide is generally sarcastic, but you should always be on the lookout for those who are saying it with a serious tone of voice, often indicated by a lower tone of voice, because this is, in fact, a critical situation that should be reported to authorities at all times. For now, live long and prosper, and good luck.